Hi guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make this death by chocolate cake. Let's begin. To get started on the recipe, you'll want to make the sponge cake. So to do that, grab yourself a large mixing bowl, and into that place your granulated sugar and your butter, and beat the two together until they are lighter and fluffier in colour and consistency. For me, this usually takes between 7 and 10 minutes, but it may take more or less time depending on where you are in the world. Once you've achieved light and fluffy, you can then go ahead and add in your eggs, one at a time, beating while in between each addition, repeating the process until all of your eggs have been added. Now is also the perfect time to add in your vanilla. Don't forget to give the bowl a good scraping down. This just incorporates any bits that may not have been fully worked in from earlier on. Then add in your dry ingredients and mix on a low speed to start with, working your way up to a medium-high speed until a clear cake batter has formed. You may find that the mixture doesn't look right, but just keep mixing until it does, being careful not to overmix. Then you can go ahead and give the bowl another good scraping down, and this is just to incorporate any of the dry bits that may not have been fully worked in from earlier on. You can then go ahead and divide the cake batter between your cake tins. Feel free to use scales like I have, or you can do it by eye. Whichever method works best for you. You'll want to just get as equal as possible, and using digital weighing scales ensures this. Spread and level it out as best as you possibly can. This will just help with the baking consistency, so just do it. It really doesn't take that much time and it's worth it. Then you can go ahead and bake these off in your preheated oven. All that information will be in the blog post, don't forget to check it out, link down below. To start on the French buttercream, grab yourself a saucepan and place in your sugar and water, mixing the two together until they are roughly combined. You're not looking for them to be dissolved. Place it on the hob over a medium heat, and then into a mixing bowl, placing your egg yolks and your whole egg, and whisk on a high speed until the mixture has quadrupled in volume and it's much lighter and paler in colour and consistency. It should look almost white, but more of an off-white. And once your sugar mixture has come up to temperature, you can then go ahead and steadily pour this over the egg mixture. This will ensure that the mixture is safe to eat, so make sure you get it up to the right temperature. Whisk until you can touch the bottom of the bowl with the back of your hand. Once you can do that, you can start to add in your butter, chunk by chunk, mixing until it's fully incorporated. Being careful not to add the butter too quickly, otherwise you may find that your buttercream is a bit loose. If this does happen, just place it into the fridge and it will fix itself, but you will need to whisk it a bit later on. Once you've added all of the butter, you can then go ahead and add in the cocoa powder and the melted chocolate and mix until you have a glossy and smooth chocolate mixture. To make the creme pat, grab yourself a large saucepan and place in your milk, followed by the vanilla, and mix the two together until they're combined. Place this on the hob over a medium-high heat. And while you're waiting for that to come up to temperature, you can grab yourself a large mixing bowl and place in your egg yolks, your sugar, and whisk together until they are lighter and fluffier in colour and consistency. You're not looking for them to be anything special, but you are looking for them to be well combined and the mixture to be lighter. That's what you are looking to achieve. Once you've achieved that, you can then go ahead and add in your flour and cocoa powder and mix this in until it's fully incorporated. Once your milk has come up to temperature, you can add a small amount into the other mixture and just whisk this in until it's fully incorporated, as this will help to temper the mixture. Then you can go ahead and steadily pour the rest of the hot milk into the mixture, whisking consistently so it doesn't curdle or split or anything happen to it. As long as you've whisked it, it should be fine. Then you can go ahead and pour that back into the saucepan and place that back on the hob over a medium-high heat and whisk continuously until the mixture has thickened. This does take a little bit of time, but once it starts to thicken, it will thicken very quickly, so being careful not to allow it to thicken too much or burn on the bottom. You can then go ahead and transfer the custard into a bowl. The thinner you can spread this out, the better, but feel free to just put it into a bowl like I have, or if you can, onto a baking tray and spread it out. It will cool much quicker. Make sure that the custard is being covered with some cling film, touching the top, otherwise a skin will form and it will ruin the mixture. So to make the ganache for the drip, grab yourself a medium-sized bowl and place in both of your chocolates. Then pour over your boiling cream and let it sit for around a minute just to emulsify. Then you can go ahead and stir it until the mixture is fully combined. So once your cakes have been baked and allowed to cool fully, you can then go ahead and level the tops off. This is just to remove that dome that will make the cakes sit funny and wonky. As you can tell, I'm overmixed a little bit with the air pockets, but don't worry, it doesn't ruin the mixture too much. Then you can go ahead and place all of your cakes onto a cooling rack and brush them over generously with some simple syrup. This will help keep the cake fresh and moist for a couple of days, especially if this is being stored in the fridge. So whenever you're ready to use the custard, you'll want to give it a good whisk beforehand. This is just to bring it back into a more pliable consistency, otherwise it sets and it'll be very hard to work with, so just give it a quick whisk and it should loosen up and be perfect. Then you can start the assembly of the cake. So grab yourself a plate, board or stand and place a small blob of buttercream into the centre, placing your first layer of cake on and securing it in place. Pipe a ring of buttercream around the edge of that cake, a small amount in the centre just to, secure it. Then place in as much or as little custard as you'd like and pipe another ring if you need to, because I added too much of the custard filling. Top with your second layer of cake and repeat the process until you have none of the centre or cake to fill. Pipe your buttercream all around the outer edge of the cake, and you'll want to try and get it as perfect as possible, but if it isn't perfect, don't worry, it doesn't need to be. You will be able to alleviate that as you are pulling the scraper around the cake, and any bits that aren't perfect you can always fill in with some more buttercream. Around the bottom edge of the cake, I took some of these Halloween sprinkles and just created a border. It doesn't need to be perfectly level, as it'll just add to the character of the cake, but if you want to, you can try and make it perfect. Again, it's not necessary if you don't do it. I just thought this adds a bit of flair. Then to keep it simple, I just did a ganache strip, which is really simple. I made the ganache earlier on and reheated in the microwave. This is how I get the perfect drip, and it just works so well. If you add too much, the drip will continue down the cake and touch the sprinkles and even reach the board or the plate or whatever you're using, which isn't perfect. Fill in the top of the cake with the ganache and set in the fridge. Then go ahead and sprinkle some of the sprinkles around the edge while the ganache is still tacky. Chill in the fridge until you need it, and here you go. Once you cut into the cake, it's literally death by chocolate. It's a chocolate cake, chocolate custard and chocolate buttercream. Like, what more could you ask for? As you can tell, I had a little bit of sliding with the cake as well, but that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more from me, and I'll be back again very soon with another recipe, so join me then. In the meanwhile, don't forget to check out the description. There'll be a link to this recipe, a link to my blog and links to all my social media. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed. Bye guys.